In this video, we're going to show you 10 ways to make money as a consultant. Welcome to your Consulting Business Podcast. My name is Russell Pearson, and this is episode number 49. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that I often get asked about, which is kind of business models, but really what we're talking about is how to make money as a consultant. There are so many different options on how you can actually go about making money that often when the consultant is starting the process, it can be very, very confusing. So whether you are a corporate employee who's moving into a consulting space, if you're a service provider who wants to do more consulting or advisory, even if you've been doing consulting for some time but you don't have 100% clarity on the different ways that you can actually be making money, then this video may be of interest to you. Now, I've got 10 things that I want to go through, so we're going to probably move at the speed of light. And Alfred, if you're watching, I hope you are because you're editing this video, make sure to put each of the points below as we go through the video. Fantastic. So let me bring the handy whiteboard over, because when you're thinking about the business model you want to engage in your consulting practice, the key is, what lifestyle do you want to live? Who do you want to work with? And ultimately, what do you want to be doing with your time? Because as a consultant, you have ultimate choice. That's what I love about this business. This business allows you to choose the hours you work, to choose the amount of money you make, to choose who you work with, and really enables you to actually spend your time and spend your life as you wish, assuming that you have, as long as you have expertise that are valuable to share. And often the view on expertise is that I've got knowledge or I've got experience, but it's more about the application of that knowledge and experience and expertise to someone else's pain points to get someone an outcome. And they're the keys in that. But let's look at the 10. Number one is, what format do you want to actually sell? So number one, what format of work do you want to be doing? Do you want to be doing programs, like larger programs? Do you want to be doing education as far as training? Do you want to be doing strategy workshops? Do you want to be doing report writing? Do you want to be doing research? There are so many different aspects or formats to the way that you can make money. And ideally, I'm actually going to put a worksheet in the comments which you can download, and I think this might be a really useful addition to this work. So the idea is follow along the worksheet and fill it in as you go, because at the end of it, you'll have collected all this data to go, all right, this is how I want to work, this is how I want to make money, right? So then who will I work with based off those criteria? Because ideally, the way you go about doing these defines your lifestyle. If you're running big programs, you're going to be in with the clients probably more often. If you're running individual workshops, then you'll be in for usually a day or a couple of days. There are so many different ways that you can do that. So think about the formats that you really enjoy working on. What fee structure will you actually charge? So how much will you charge? So your fees can be, you can charge in small amounts. And most consultants are usually charging above $1,500, but let's say that you could even go down to like $100 bite-sized chunks up to hundreds of thousands of dollars for an individual engagement. Now, you might just instantly go, well, I want to have the hundreds of thousands of dollars engagement. Why wouldn't you? Because it takes a lot longer to engage that sort of work, and a lot of the time when you get that sort of work, you kind of turn into a bit of an employee. So the question is, how do you want to do it? You can absolutely charge these sort of dollars as long as the value you provide is actually in accordance with the outcomes, right? So how do you want to charge? You want to charge small amounts, large amounts? How often do you want to get paid? The large amounts, usually lump sums. The smaller amounts could be daily. And so the fees will actually change how you actually get paid or how you receive money. Number three, we want to talk about how many clients do you want? So number of clients. Do you want to be working with, and these are all questions. I'll just move this over here. This looks nice and clean. Do you want to be working with a small handful of clients? Most people who are working on some of these larger format engagements, where they're above 100,000, tend to work with maybe a maximum of 4 or 5 people because the workload that's involved in those sort of engagements. But you may go, actually, I want to work with more people. I want to help more people, or I want to be very specific about who I want to help in that scenario, and I want to help as many of them as I can. All right, well, if it's more, then you've got to figure out a format that's going to enable you to work with more. Working with more does not always mean you have to grow a big business to facilitate it. The great thing about knowledge work and being the consultant is that you can actually work one-to-many in different aspects, whether it be through training or through programs and other things where you're actually doing group work. So the number of clients that you actually want to be working with at a certain amount of time is a large part of that. So whether on one side of the scale you've got a lot of clients that you want to help as many people as possible, or you might go, I actually don't want to work with that many, but let's say you've only got 4 clients. If you lose one of those clients, you lose 25% of your income in one hit. Now, don't be scared of that. It just means that you need to have processes in place to ensure that you actually have a runway and have opportunities ready to go if one of those drops off, so you don't have a drop in income. Number 4 is paid how often, right? So how often do you get paid? As in, do we want to be paid hourly? Often it's difficult to get paid hourly, and what I mean by that is not just have an hourly rate. I mean actually get paid every single hour. That's what I'm talking about with how often. Do you want money coming in daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly? How often do you want to bring money in? Some people don't like the idea of getting these large lump sums because they don't manage that money very well. I mean, there's an opportunity to get better in that. But how often do you want to get paid? And I'm not talking about just when you put an invoice out, because sometimes you don't get paid when the invoice goes out. There are many organizations who have 60 days end of month, which means at the end of the month it'll be 60 days before you get paid, which is often 90 days. So how often you want to get paid? When do you want money coming in? In an organization that you build that might be an LLC or a company. What we're actually usually doing is turning ourselves into an employee of the company so we can get paid more regularly, if that's what you prefer. But I've got plenty of colleagues who prefer the money coming in when it comes in, and they just take what they need when it makes sense. So you've just got to structure that in a way that's going to suit you. So how often do you want to get paid? Number 5 is, how do you want people to access you? What I mean by that is, do you want to offer things publicly? Can people book you? Or do you want to only go in for incursions into organizations where you only work with one client and maybe multiple team members at a time, rather than have multiple clients from multiple different spaces coming in at once? Do you want to only send out private invitations for people to come in and work with you? It's not a bad way of doing it. It's actually a really nice way of doing it, but it means every engagement is going to be a proactive outreach on your part, which I personally enjoy. So how do you want people to access you? That also comes down to phone, email, physical location, fax machine if you're that person still. How do you want people to be able to access you? Social media, messenger. These go a long way to actually defining your rules of engagement. So we're down to 5. We've looked at what format do we want to be working in, how much do we want to be charging from an individual engagement, the number of clients we want to be working with at a time, how often do we want to get that money actually coming in the door, and how do we want people to be able to access us. Now I'm going to go into the second set. So we've gone to 5, we're going to go to 6, and then all the way to 10. Just quickly cutting in because I wanted to tell you about a free resource that is available for you right now at russellpearsonprograms.com that's highly relevant to today's topic. If you go over there, you'll find a how to get retainers fast guide that's going to be relevant on how you're going to make money, because retainers are one of the best models for a consultant to run. Go over there after the episode. The link will be in the description. Now back to the show. Let's look at number 6. Where do you want to do the work? Do you want to do the work as I'm doing a lot of this work remotely, virtually? It's a lot of the things I do. It enables me to work with people all over the world. And even in my business program, The Forge, we're enabling people in Denver to work with people in Melbourne, Australia at the same time. And there's a great opportunity in that, which I really enjoy. But some people don't like working to the screen. Some people would prefer actually working face to face. So do you want to be with the client in their location? Do you want offices so you can bring them to your location? Is there a third party place that you actually do most of your strategic work, or you have off-sites? The WHOURE thing is great because you can actually match it with your lifestyle. You can set up retreats. You can set up off-sites in places that you love spending time. I've seen some amazing off-sites that consultants have put on in wineries because they really enjoy the winery. So where you work is, again, a large part of the lifestyle, but every single aspect of what I'm talking about today is. 7, delivery hours. When do you want to be working? Do you want to be working 9 to 5? Do you want to be working 6 to 3? Do you want to be working 1 hour a day? Which, is possible, but that becomes the game that you're trying to work within. If you only want to work, let's say, 3 days a week, so it's 3 delivery days a week, or maybe even 2 delivery days a week, it means that based off that time, you need to be providing enough value to hit the financial goals that you want, and for it to suit the particular type of person that you're going to work with. I had a prime opportunity for someone who really wanted to work with me. Would have been a fantastic person to work with, but I had declared that I wouldn't be working on Wednesday mornings, right, in this scenario. And it was the only time that she could actually do it. And so it became a no deal. We couldn't make it work because there are certain areas that I have locked off in my life so that I can enjoy a lifestyle that I've designed. And so defining your delivery hours, how you want to deliver, is part of that key. If you don't define those hours, you can find yourself working through the night doing some incredible things because people will continue to add things to your plate as you say yes. Saying yes at the start of a business is an amazing thing to do because more opportunity will come. But at some point, you need to put some limitations on what you are willing to do and how do you want to play so that you can actually have the lifestyle that you love as well. All right, so back to 8. Or on to 8. The final one in the 8 list, and then I've got 2 more to come, is the level of tailoring. Now, when I say tailoring, I mean, do we actually design a program from scratch? Is it completely bespoke for every client that we're going to be working with? Programs, training, strategy workshops, facilitation, report writing, research, whatever it might be. Are we tailoring it completely from scratch? Or on the other side, have we completely productized what we're offered so it has to go through this format? Productizing can be great if it's what people want. But if you've gone to the trouble of productizing something and the person on the other side can't say yes to it because of a number of the things you've got in the product features, that's not going to help you at all. It's one of the reasons I suggest in the early days of any business to not everything needs to be bespoke, but at least do it 100 times to get a sense of what people really want and what really works before you start productizing. There is this general idea or this general wisdom that productizing your business before you go to market is the way to do it, and it is completely wrong. You really need to understand your market, get a sense of what they will be willing to buy and ready to buy before you go productizing it. And so on one side, you've got bespoke. On either side, you've got productizing. In the middle, you might have something like I have a certain framework, but it's got options. We can start either having preferences or tailoring options that actually work for us. You just need to decide how do you want to do that. Some people really enjoy creating content and creating programs. Other people absolutely hate it. So the choice is yours. It's your business. You get to do what you want. So 9, and this is really based off the back of all the questions we've asked, is who wants this thing? Who buys it? And I think the who buys it question is a really important one because it's who will not just say yes, but spend the money. Rather than, oh, that'd be really nice to have, but I don't have the authority to say yes to you right now. So it's really clear and it's really key to identify who will be buying this thing. There's no point in creating the best product or the best program or whatever it is in the world, and that's what tends to happen through the productization. Then just go to market and go, now everybody wants this, because it's just not true. Certain corporations will want certain things as part of what they need to do, either because of systems internally or requirements externally. There'll be smaller engagements with individuals, and they need to have the capacity to buy, or even the capacity to use the service, the opportunity, the consulting, the advice that you give them. No point selling to someone who can afford it but can't do anything with it. That's a really fast way to being disillusioned about the entire industry. So who buys it? Because that's absolutely key. If you know who is going to buy the thing that you've tailored, it's a match made in heaven. It's so much easier then to actually live a lifestyle that you love, because people are buying something that is actually how you're living, right? So number 9 is who buys it, and then number 10 is how do they buy it. And I don't just mean like, well, they give me cash and I do the thing. Some people can give you cash. Some people prefer to give you cash. I've worked with some carnival focus, some people who run carnivals. They love to give you cash, right? But the key, tax man, the key in this situation is to say, like, how can they say yes? And so if you're talking to a large organization and everything has to go through procurement, otherwise they can't say yes, then you need to understand that that is a process on how they buy. Most of those procurement agencies or departments within a company will have a threshold before they can get involved. It'll be a certain dollar figure that sometimes is discretionary spend, and you can actually fit neatly underneath that. Here in Australia, a lot of local LGAs, so councils, will have tenders, and they have this big tender portal where you actually have to put all tenders through. It goes through the portal. That's how they buy it. But for many of them, less than $75,000, they don't need the tendering process. And so they can say yes to you as an individual manager. And so you need to understand your who and how they buy based off your life preferences to actually design not only a business model that works, but at the end of the day, a lifestyle that you love. Download the worksheet if you haven't already. It's going to be in the comments. Alfred, make sure it's in the comments. Everyone say hi to Alfred, and I would love to ask you, whether it be in the comments or sending me a message, because sometimes we're on YouTube, sometimes we're on audio, whether it be through iTunes or whether it be through what's the other one? Oh yeah, Spotify. Spotify, we love you, Spotify. Either leave me a comment or send me an email. Emails are great, russell@russellpearson.com. I'm easy to get a hold of. And share with me what was most useful for you through this process. What hadn't you thought of before? Had you thought of all these things and now is the case of just getting to work and getting it done? If you are ready to get to work, if you are ready to get these things done, then there's no better place to actually come and do the work than in the Forge. What is the Forge, you might ask? Well, it's my business program for experts and consultants who are looking to build sales and marketing systems that enable them to do their work so much easier when they want. They're not always having to rely on referrals. Referrals are fantastic, but it's so much better to be able to proactively get clients when you want them. It enables you to have real control over the future of your business and your life. So leave a comment, subscribe. I'd love you to subscribe. We've got some fantastic new episodes coming up with some very special guests. I'm not going to say anything yet just in case they pull out, but I've got my fingers crossed because I'm really looking forward to having them on the show. And if you subscribe, you'll actually get that sent directly to you into your fantastic listening ears or into your fantastic watching face on YouTube. Until next time, my name is Russell Pearson. Stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.